Hey guys, today I wanted to just sit down quickly and chat about this new palette from Tarte. This is their Maneater After Dark. I saw this on the Ulta website and I ordered it right away because I feel like this is completely different than what Tarte normally does. So let's take a quick look inside. This has like these deep, smoky, rich fall vibes, and Tarte usually is very neutral, very pink, and I just thought this was something really different and special for them. So I couldn't wait to get this home and play with it, see what the formula was like, and also do some comparisons with other palettes. That's what we're going to do today. So first, let's take a quick look at the overall palette. I was really excited when I saw the packaging. This comes in plastic packaging. It has the leopard print that's raised on the front, and then the back is just the shiny gold, and it's very sleek and slim, so you don't have to worry about storing this palette. I think it'll store really well. I loved that it wasn't just the everyday standard cardboard palette. It just looks really elevated and really fancy. And then inside you have 24 shades. There are 11 mattes, 9 metallic shimmers, and then 4 what they're calling sheens, which are kind of like satiny shimmers. And it's a mix of warm neutrals, golds, coppers, and berries. And there's 1 pop of green in there as well, which I thought was really fun. And what I really loved about the setup of this palette, and Tarte does this all the time, is that they kind of organize the colors by rows. So in the top row, you have these orangey copper shades, like the really warm tones. Then in the second row, you have like yellow and golds. Then in the third row, you have kind of like these earthy tones. You have a little copper, you have the green, the black is in this row, like a deep brown. And then the bottom row is like the pink and berry type shades. So it just makes it easier to figure out looks that you want to make with the palette, which I think is really nice. Another thing I was really impressed by with this palette is the formula. So normally Tarte's formula is a little bit more subtle, more subdued. So your shimmer shades are going to be more like a satiny finish. They're not super metallic. These are incredibly metallic. Most of the shimmer shades really pop. They have a gorgeous foiled look to them, which I happen to really love. And then there are some shimmer shades in this palette that are a little bit more subtle as well. So you have that mix of really metallic shades, some satiny shades, and then the mattes also are just super smooth as well. So overall, I feel like it's one of Tarte's best, and I think that sort of makes me feel a little bit better about the $52 price tag, because this is one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, Tarte palette that I've ever purchased. So I love that they stepped up the quality a little bit to kind of match the higher price tag. And also I swatched this palette out by row so you can see all of those colors together. We have the yellow and gold row first, and then next to that, we have the coppery row with the warm tone neutrals. Then we have the row with the berry tones, which is just stunning. I love rosy toned shadows. And then we have the earthy toned row right here. So I can tell this is just going to be a really fun palette to use. And honestly, perfect heading into fall. I think that's one of the things that initially grabbed me about it, because I've just been in such a fall mood lately. I know it's still hot outside, but with school starting and there are some leaves starting to change by us, so I've just really been in the mood for it. When I saw these colors, I was like, yes, this is the ultimate fall palette. So let me show you guys the look that I'm wearing on my eyes today and how I got it, and we'll just go through a little bit of a tutorial. So the first shade that I'm using is the shade Lust. I'm picking this up with my BK Beauty crease brush and just applying this one to my crease. It's just a matte taupey shade that has a little bit of warmth behind it. It's really pretty, and I felt like it blended out like a dream. The mattes are just super blendable with this palette. I was very impressed with this. Then for the outer corner, I picked up the green shade called Fantasy. Now this is one of those ones that's a little more on the satiny side. It's not a super metallic shimmer. So I picked this up with my finger and just applied it to the outer half of my lid. And this also was very pigmented. I didn't really have to build it up, and it didn't have any fallout to it either, which was really great. It was so easy to use. And then for the inner corner of my lid, I picked up the shade Hot in Here, which is a metallic copper, and I just patted that one on. This also had no fallout, and it feels almost like a cream shadow. These are so creamy that they almost don't feel like a powder. They're really phenomenal. And then the last shade I picked up is Sundown, which is a bright gold metallic, and I grabbed this one just to put right in the center of my lid, so kind of in between the copper shade and the green shade and just tie those two together and just make it pop a little bit more, because this one I feel like is a little bit shinier than the other two. And this also applied really, really beautifully. So I was super happy with how the look came out, how everything applied, and I'm just so excited to use this palette going into the fall. I saw that Too Faced was releasing a new gingerbread palette, and to be honest with you, I wasn't even planning to buy it because the last few palettes I've gotten from them have just been disappointing as far as the quality goes, and I feel like they're not the same as they were when they released the original gingerbread, which I honestly still love. That palette is amazing, but I just think that over the last couple of years, Too Faced has really kind of gone downhill, whereas Tarte is really, really stepping up their game with this one. So I'm just beyond happy with this palette so far. So I want to show you guys a couple of comparison palettes, and the initial palette that I first thought of when I saw it was actually a palette from Makeup Revolution. This is their Wild Animal Courage palette. It has the same kind of vibes. It has the animal print on the outside of the packaging, so that's something that they have in common. And then on the inside, some of the shades also have the leopard print, just like the Tarte one does. So I found that kind of interesting because it's not all the shades, it's just select ones here and there. And I don't know, it makes me kind of wonder, did Tarte get inspiration from this palette, or is this just a complete coincidence? I don't know. But I also thought that the color stories looked extremely similar as well. Obviously the Tarte has some additional shades in it, so there's going to be more than what's in the Makeup Revolution one. But the shades that I was able to swatch side by side, I thought looked really, really close. I will say that the shimmer shades in the Tarte palette definitely are more vibrant, more metallic. I think this was one of Makeup Revolution's best formulas that they've ever come out with. It's very smooth, it had nice pigmentation, but I still think that the Tarte Maneater After Dark beats the Revolution as far as the formula goes. I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the swatches that the Tarte one just makes a little bit more impact. But yeah, I think these two have a lot of similarity, not just with the colors, but just with the overall packaging and vibe and everything. So I thought that was kind of funny. Another palette I thought of initially that it looks similar to is the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. This one I also think of as more of a fall type color story, but when I looked at the two side by side, I realized that Metropolis has a lot of greens. The Tarte just has the one green. Metropolis also has that pop of blue. The Tarte one doesn't have any blue. And one thing that the Maneater After Dark palette has that the Metropolis doesn't is that row of berry shades. So these aren't really as close as I thought they were going to be, but I think when it comes to the browns, yellows, and oranges and coppery shades, they do have all of those in common. So I was able to match up some things from these palettes, but I wouldn't say that they're like dupes. They kind of just have a similar vibe. Also, I wanted to compare it to the Too Faced Gingerbread palette, the original one, because I do think these also have a lot in common. This one has a green shade. It's not the same type of green by any means, but you've got the warm neutrals. This one also has the pinks in it that the Tarte one has as well. So again, I think there are some similarities between the two, but I think the Tarte palette overall is a little bit more deep and smoky, while the Too Faced one kind of keeps it light to mid-tone for the most part. So they're close, but again, I would not call them dupes. Another palette I thought of was the ColourPop Good Sport palette. This is another ultimate fall palette that I pull out every single year that I love using around this time. I really don't think that these two are that similar when I look at them side by side. It does have the warm tones and it has the pop of yellow, the pop of green, it has some purple in it, but it's certainly not something that you can match up a lot of shades to. And the last one I thought of is the Sigma Cor de Rosa palette. This one doesn't have the green, it doesn't have the yellow, but it does have berry tones mixed with warm tones and copper and gold. So again, this is a lot smaller than the Tarte palette. The Maneater After Dark has a lot more variety than the Cor de Rosa, but I think if you're using these types of colors, you could get a lot of similar looks out of the Sigma palette if you do already have that one. But I have to say overall, despite the comparisons, there really isn't something that I have that is exactly like this. I really wasn't able to dupe this palette completely, and I think this formula is so good, it kind of stands on its own. I feel like I haven't been excited about a palette in a really long time. I used to buy palettes like crazy. I was constantly, every single time a palette came out, I was buying it. Now I'm a little bit more mindful because I have so many palettes. I think a lot of us do. That's why I normally pass on Tarte's palettes, because they all start to look the same after a while. I was just really glad that they decided to come out with something a little bit different this time, and I think this one is just going to be so much fun to use this fall and heading into the holiday season. So I know this was a quick video, but I just wanted to quickly share this with you and see what your thoughts are on it. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below what you think of the new Tarte Maneater After Dark, and if you're planning on purchasing it or planning to skip it. So let me know what you're thinking. And I want to thank you for clicking on this video, spending time here with me on my channel. I always appreciate it. And if you're new here and you like honest, unsponsored makeup reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.